So the three muscle layers, okay, mucosal, circular, and longitudinal, all right, they are interconnected. Inside a layer of muscles, or a layer of muscle, the individual smooth muscle cells are connected to each other by gap junctions, making them a functional syncytium. Remember that term, right? Like the heart is a functional syncytium. Similar kind of thing. So when one area of the mucosa, for example, contracts, the area around it also tends to contract, which makes sense because a smooth muscle cell contracting by itself is not going to do anything any good, right? You need to have groups of them contracting together. So they are interconnected. But then in between the layers, there are also connections. Okay, so it means that the circular, longitudinal, and mucosal layers all tend to stimulate at the same time. Okay, in other words, movement in one tends to create movement in the others, right? So, so we have our connection between the two. Now, we need to have coordination. Ultimately, we need motility, right? We need to move materials from the stomach all the way through to the anus. So we need to have some coordination. And this coordination is going to occur in these interconnections between the layers. Now, interestingly, and something almost nobody ever hears about, is the fact that all of these nerves in the GI tract and all of their connections to each other actually creates a whole separate nervous system. You can kind of think of the GI tract as having its own brain. And in reality, the GI tract doesn't need the brain for anything because of what we call the enteric nervous system. Okay, the enteric nervous system is the collection of all the nerves, plexuses, one of those words, ganglia, okay, all of those things together form a brain for the GI tract that is included in that system. The effect of the brain on the GI tract is really more about suggesting than controlling, right? The CNS can increase activity and decrease activity, but the CNS can't say to like the small intestine, okay, this section move forward. There's no system like that, all right? The enteric nervous system is controlling movement. And if you remember back to your general biology or genetics classes where you talked about evolution, the enteric nervous system is very similar to the nervous system that a worm has, right? You know, remember, like, we are a tube within a tube, and that idea is one of the oldest morphologies on Earth in terms of animals, okay? So our enteric nervous system is truly ancient.